Rabbi. It is the 26th of November. This is Rabbi Levitt, and we're doing Horeb.
Okay. And we have just one more page for the Haftorot. And let's see, who would like to read? Whose turn is it to read?
This
Lou.
is
I think Mayor started yesterday, so we'll ask Lou to start today.
Okay.
I've been promoted to a Kohen. We're doing Haftorah?
Yeah, the last page, 518, Birkas Haftorah.
Okie dokie. Before reading the prophetical words of the Haftorah, you declare before Hashem that he selected the prophets and chose their words that were spoken in truth as his declarations, that the Torah came with his will, that Moshe was appointed as its proclaimer, Yisrael as the trustees who must observe it, and the prophets of truth and righteousness to further its observance through Yisrael. He resolved to listen to the words of the prophets for such purpose. Baruch blah blah hasher bachar b'niv'im kule.
Asher bachar b'nevi'im tovim. Yes.
Oh, right. B'niv'im tovim. After you have heard the words of life, you express the faith which the prophetic word has fired within you, namely to take them to heart for your active life. You also affirm that Hashem is the creator and the rock of ages, and that in every generation it is the all-righteous and ever-faithful God who does that which he says and fulfills that which he promises, that all his words are truth and righteousness. You recognize him who invisibly reigns above you as your God, as the omnipresent, faithful one, none of whose promises will return void and unfulfilled. You dedicate your life to him, seeing how faithful is his word. Baruch tzor ne'eman atah.
Tzor kol amim, Adon b'chol doros, haneman. Okay, yeah.
Morning.
Good morning, Alan.
Morning, Alan.
How you doing?
Okay.
We're on page 518, Alan.
518, okay.
According to this very day, you ask mercy for Zion, of our spiritual life, and salvation for this grieving mother of her people. You dedicate your life to him who causes joy for Zion to blossom forth from the life of her children, Rachem.
Wow. Okay.
To this day, you pin your faith to everything that is prophetical, that his prophetical word has declared concerning the restoration of our outward national destiny. And you dedicate yourself to him who has declared such things possible. Samchenu. On Shabbos and Yom Tov, you not only glance trustingly into the future, look gratefully also into the past and present. You thank him for the Torah, for divine worship, for the prophets, and for the day he has granted of sanctification and rest, of joy and gladness, forgiveness, pardon, and atonement, and for the presentation of our honor and our glory. You declare thanks for everything granted and resolve to dedicate yourself to the service of Hashem for all mankind and with all humanity. You pray for the time when his recognition and praise will sound once more in the mouth of every living being. Ala Torah.
Wow. Right. If we had the words of the Haftorah, the Birkas Haftorah in front of us, we would be able to appreciate this more. He's given a whole parish in very, very concise and straightforward language over here. Very valuable. Before, I think, Bli Neder, Be'ez Hashem, before the next time I have to say a Haftorah, which is usually the Shabbos before the Yortzeit of my mother or father, Aleim Shalom, should take a look at this right here, what Rav Hirsch has to say about the brachas that we say before and after the Haftorah. We infuse us with a great resolve to say them with real feeling, which is probably a great schus for the nifter that we're saying this Haftorah Ili Nishmasam to elevate their soul. It's quite amazing actually when you think about it. As far as right, we laid the Sedra. Parshas told us this week, and then we have 7 people that come up and say Birkas Torah. What's blessing did they say before they lay from the Torah? A short blessing before and after. But when it comes to the Haftorah, look at what we have over here. We have 2 long blessings before, and 5, I think, after that. I think it's a total of 7 times you're saying Amen, if I'm not mistaken. That's what the Mishnah Berurah says. You could say you biyotzi your mea brachas by the answering Amen to the Haftorahs of the maftir who gets these brachas. And each one of them is long and has a whole idea to it. It's quite amazing. And the other thing is you see over here that Tzion is the way the Haftorah talks about Tzion, Zion. Where the Harabayas is, where the Beis Hamikdash was, it's referred to as a mother. Sion is a mother of her people who are her children, and she's grieving for the situation that we don't have the honor that of Beis Hamikdash and Klal Yisrael going on Aliyah L'Regel and just the life of the Jewish people, and we resolve to one day will be a day that there will be joy for Tzion, and will blossom forth the life of her children who are Klal Yisrael. It's an amazing idea. I would have thought Zion is just sort of a geographical location, but no. You see that the way that the one that wrote these brachas here, presumably it was Anshe Knesa Gedola. They're the ones that composed all of our brachas. They probably most likely composed these brachas as well, the Birkas Haftorah. Zion is a mother. And where did they get that from? From the Navi. The Navi describes Zion as a mother as well. Okay. I just saw here there's a note on 517 on the bottom. The editor says that there used to be a sefer that was written by one of Rav Hirsch's sons, Dr. Mendel Hirsch, that he published a commentary on all of the Haftorahs. And he says this work, in which the prophetical passages read in our synagogue in the course of the year are explained in the spirit of Rav Hirsch's system of thought, contains an impressive philosophy of Jewish history and its application to the various epochs in the annals of our people. There was hardly a Jewish Orthodox home in Germany where this work was not studied on the Sabbath. Unbelievable. Wow. And it was written in German. And so it was written in the language of the German Jews that knew, they all knew German. How many of them knew Hebrew? Don't know. And but so Rav Hirsch wrote it just like the Horeb was written in German for the people, for the German Jews. And he says it deserves to be saved from oblivion, to be translated into Hebrew and English. I don't know if there is I think there is, isn't there? There is a sefer of we have, I'm not sure. Have you ever seen such a thing? Rav Hirsch's commentary on the Haftorahs?
Nope, I never heard of it.
In other words, in the set of Rav Hirsch commentary on Chumash does not contain commentary on the Haftorahs, just the Chumash. Wow. Okay. Okay, so that's the next project. Anybody knows how to translate German into English? I don't know that they did that yet. Okay. A round of applause. A great round of applause for Haftaros and the Navi. And now we go to Piyutim. And we ask Meir to start the reading on chapter 110 of Piyutim.
Piyutim. Okay, very good. 671. It says, thus did our sages approach the task of inner worship with tefillah and kriyat Torah, the first purifying the mind and heart directly by expression of ideas, the second offering a source of further independent completion. Both lead us ever on the heights of the concept of the day and from it to a concept of the higher life. To the intellectual and emotional life of each individual, they left the further completion and the following up of the concepts gained, as well as their application to actual life, and the more complete comprehension of the day's significance, at the idea of which they had only hinted. They left this especially to the living word of the Chachamim and the Metugarmim, interpreters, okay, who spoke to the people. It was left to them to construct the given material into a complete edifice and to build up life from the teaching and concept of the day, which were best, if not solely, understood from the mitzvot of each festival. When times became worse and the Jews were scattered into smaller groups, this supplement to and building up of the ideas given by the Chachamim had to be fixed for and presented to him that strove for inward divine worship in its completed form. From this need, the Piyutim developed. These are little else than a more complete development of the significance of the day and the life thoughts flowing therefrom. From the treasures of the Jewish knowledge, the Payatan, liturgical poet, sets before himself the day according to its historical and legal aspect, and according to the views of our Chachamim expressed concerning both. Filled with this knowledge, he approaches us at the individual sections of the divine service, thus completing its inner concept in the light of the significance of the day. We must envy the age when Jacob's heritage was the common possession of the community of Jacob, and when its spirit infused all its adherents to such an extent that the Payatan could assume in the mind of the hearts of and the hearers of knowledge of at least the main facts and legal concepts, as well as, most important, of the sayings of the Chachamim. He thus had only to arouse the basic tone in order to awaken full accord in the mind of the hearers. However, if we view our age in a relation to the Payatanim, it is difficult to decide what is more to be deplored, that they did not acquire a means of expression which would suit contemporary Israel more, or in our age, Jewish life and knowledge have so much declined. That which was formerly the common possession of the whole community, this is long, of Jacob, has fled into the sphere of a limited class of scholars, happy in the thought that it has there found a humble place. The spirit of Jewish knowledge has fled from Israel's sons, so that the Piyutim cannot find the circle of worshipers that they implicitly assume. It is not only their manner of expression which primarily estranges the Piyutim from us, but mainly the fact that our inward life and our thought world no longer grow upon Israel's soil, that is, upon Jewish knowledge. They would be alien to our generation, even if they had spoken to it in its mother tongue. According to the task that they have set themselves, they are an essential supplementary part of our divine service. The Piyutim could be dispensed with if our age were to raise itself to the state of knowledge of the time of the Payatanim, as well as the time of our Chachamim, when this knowledge was life. and the people above all the people above all the teachers of the people themselves completed the task of the day in tefillah and Torah. They could be replaced by people who would not only be poets in their individual human feeling, as in the main are the so-called Spanish and Portuguese Payatanim, but who by raising themselves to the height of knowledge of the earlier Payatanim would be able to grasp from the viewpoint of creative Jewish scholarship, our day-to-day religious and national life, and thus present it in a lively and appealing manner. The replacement of the piyutim would also require public preaching, which would disregard every alien point of view, comprehending and constructing Israel's life only from Judaism and Israel's lofty institutions. But could a Payatan compose today? Could such a preacher speak today? The life and knowledge which they must both assume are lacking. Moving within narrow limits, their speech could influence and arouse people here and there only. May the piyutim, the witnesses of a happy period, become the means of reattainment of such an age. May happy grandchildren once again greet them as they stand as a model for the popular speaker in his task. He should try to become for his congregation that which they were meant to have been. They have become generally accepted in Israel's communities because the demand for them was so general. The opinions that were expressed against them in the past refer mainly to their veiled language. One can readily comprehend how, for the purposes of the Payatanim, Tanakh, Talmud, Shemat, can't pronounce that word, Agadita, Midrashim, every day Jewish life and the thoughts and emotions of the piyutim themselves had to be presented in a special language. They had to be short, elusive, and yet faithful to the language of the writings from which they were drawn, even at the cost of elegance. Objections were also raised against them because they were thought to be in conflict with the prescription not to interrupt certain parts of the divine service with other matters. A further objection was the manner of their presentation. Their inherent value, however, was never doubted.
Wow.
Shemat.
Well, that's Shmaisasa.
Oh, Shmaitasa. Oh.
In other words, the two main types of things that we find in the Gemara are categorized into two different topics. One is called Shmaisasa, which is halacha, and then we have Agadita, which is more. It also is halachic, right? You also have to be a mensch, and
right.
You also have to have the right ideas about things, and that's what we find in the Agadita that teaches us. But those are the two. Those are the two. That's what he's talking about over there. Oh, it says on the bottom that Rav Hirsch in the forward to the present work, he has a whole discussion of the meaning of these two terms.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So, okay. So he didn't tell us. I mean, I think that in the main we find piyutim today mostly in just Yomim Neroyim, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. There are some communities around the world which also you have them for even for Purim, for the Shlosh Regalim as well. But many congregations here in Eretz Yisrael don't contain too much of those things. There were certain halachic authorities, like Rav Hirsch mentions, that were against their inclusion into the davening because they were regarded in the halachic sense as an interruption in the words of the brachas of the tefillas. But what Rav Hirsch says is that their inherent value, however, was never doubted. And what he says really is that the purpose of the piyutim was really, if somebody would ask, what do we need them for? Don't we have enough things to say already? We can hardly say, especially when there's certain takanas in certain places where you can't take any more than 30 minutes for shachris. And Rosh Chodesh is a big problem. How do you do that? But especially if you're going to have piyutim. But he says that really it represented a vehicle to complete what Tefillah and Kriyas Torah was trying to do, what's Tefillah and Kriyas Torah trying to do? He says, purifying the heart and the mind by expression of ideas and a source of further independent to give us a concept of a higher life. A life, in other words, that's a more exalted life. And so that was the point behind the piyutim, to give more help in getting to that what the tefillah and Kriyas Torah will give us on the very special days of the year that we have in the Jewish calendar. Okay. Okay, a round of applause for piyutim. Hooray!
Hooray!
Wow.
Okay. And now we go to brachos. 111. Alan, are you there?
I'm here. Brachos, our sages, right? That's it. Number
Yeah, right, good.
672. Okay.
Right.
Our sages regarded it as a duty not only to call us from the turmoil of life to a gathering to God, but to approach us in life itself in order to make vivid for us the thought of Hashem in life and to help us towards an active life in the service of Hashem. They fulfilled their task by means of the brachos which they offered us. These are the object of our consideration in this chapter. Brachos, the thoughts of Hashem acquired in divine inner worship must be held on to firmly in active life, so that life not be divided for us into hours of prayer and hours of activity, standing before Hashem in the former, but in the latter, not walking before Him. What would be divine inner worship to be worth if it did not return us to our active life in a holier, stronger, more God-filled state? But if it did not transform our whole life into divine service, but we shall so live our life that though we bear within us, upon us and around us, gifts of Hashem, we do not think of them or of God. Nature and the human world, the great stage upon which we live, is nothing but the revelation of Hashem. Yet we have no eye for the only one who reveals himself there. All we enjoy is but a gift from Hashem. Yet we gift ourselves for God's gifts for a life estranged from Him because we do not think that they are God's gifts. Even the duties which are to educate us towards God do not do so when we practice them with hearts not filled with God, and when we do not consider them as divine institutions. Even the unusual moments of life do not turn our minds to God, but we do not grasp them as being sent and guided by God. We do not see how God, with each one of them, set us a task which we have to fulfill by serving Him actively. Therefore, to do the teachings of the sages accompany us in life, accompanying our waking into our going to sleep, our enjoyment of nature and the human world, our pleasures, and every fulfillment of the educative mitzvos, and every extraordinary moment of our lives. All these in order to show us God everywhere in life. They show us a task set up to live up to Him and to Him only with everything and in everything, so that our self, our station, our enjoyment, our duty, and our life may all be as holy to us as God Himself. The sages found in being as a biblical commandment the duty to pronounce a bracha, that is to dedicate oneself to the fulfillment of the divine will after eating bread and before learning Torah. After eating bread, we realize the new power and strength by eating bread, recognizing the strength as being a gift only of God, and in itself making us conscious of the duty to use it only in the service of Him who granted it. Before learning the Torah, before occupying oneself with teaching coming from God, one should be conscious to the fact that it comes from God and was given for life, so as to learn from it the nature of our life and duties. This being the only spirit in which the study of the Torah succeeds and leads to true purpose. Our sages extended by analogy the biblical command of saying a bracha before the study of Torah and to saying a bracha before eating bread, so that not only should the strength be gained be used only for the service of Hashem, but that right from the start of the eating should be done only with intention. Eating itself sanctified by such an intention, being purely human, as holy as every other beautiful activity of life. They likewise extended the biblical command of saying a bracha after eating bread to saying a bracha after studying the Torah, when this was publicly done, so that not only in our occupation with the Torah should we always have a purpose before our eyes, but also in life should we regard it as a God-given law of our existence. In Brachos 21a, the sages found these brachos already instituted for the chief of sources for our nectar, material and spiritual life, bread and Torah. They end up all the other brachos with which they infuse and sanctify our life in its most important material and spiritual circumstances. They compose brachos for the awakening and going to sleep for the enjoyment of nature and the human world, for pleasure, for the observance of duties, and for the most important moment of our life.
Oh. Okay, so that's what brachas are all about. So we should take more than 2 seconds to say them, I guess, so that we can think about what it is that we're doing.
Right. So in the middle, it says our sages extended by analogy the biblical command of saying a bracha before we study Torah and for the saying of a bracha before eating bread, so that not only should the strength gained by be used only for the service of Shem, but that right from the start of eating, one should be done only with such intention. So in essence, everything is the service of Hashem, even eating.
Yeah, right. The eating itself. If we're supposed to carry the sanctity that we achieved in making the bracha before we eat into the eating. Interesting. He says it becomes the eating itself sanctified by such an intention as a result of the bracha that we made becomes purely human. That's called being purely human. And I shudder to think what it would be called if a person doesn't do this. and like that, it becomes as holy as every other dutiful activity of our life. Same thing as putting on tefillin, in other words. No one would deny that that's avodas Hashem, that's a mitzvah. But when we make a bracha before we eat the food, and then we take that sanctity into the eating of the food, that also becomes an avoda. It also becomes a divine service, because we recognize who the bread comes from. It comes from Hashem, and He's the one who's sustaining us, and He's the one who really is fortifying us and keeping us strong. And for what reason? That we should be able to do the Ratzon Hashem and learn Torah and fulfill mitzvahs. And with that intention, that's what the idea of eating is. And also, you could. He doesn't say this over here, but we could. I guess maybe he does say it. I didn't remember that he did say it, but it doesn't mean that we can't enjoy the taste of the food. And because it is tasty, it's good. Who made the food? The one that made the food also made it taste good. Why? So this is also something we could. That tasted so good, and I still remember the Peliotes. He says this is the why. When he said that we should have good food. When you have good food, he says that will make the benching, the Birkas Hamazon, all the more said with gratitude and thanks and praise to Hashem. That's what if that's what the good food brings out, then that's definitely avodas Hashem, because that's what avodas Hashem is: thanking Hashem, praising Hashem, and feeling loved by and protected and food does. Then eating food is a very holy activity. Okay, Givaldic. We have any title like that? I know that we're out of time. I'm talking over. Hey, the mayor.
Okay, everyone should have a good day.
Amen.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Okay, take care, Lou.
Back.